Hello and welcome to this Practice Better webinar, Part 1, Getting Started, the Foundations. In this webinar, you'll learn some of the foundational features and settings to focus on when you're just getting started on Practice Better. So I'm going to be reviewing how you can easily set up your profile, services, availability, how you can test drive your client's booking process to see what that looks like, as well as how to integrate your favorite tools with Practice Better. In addition, you'll learn how to create online forms from templates, how to create templates for session notes, and how to create your first invoice. So let's begin with a few of the foundations, your profile and your basic settings. So when you're first getting started, if you haven't already set up your profile, you're going to want to head over and do that first. So if we come over and you click on your name here, and then you go into edit profile, and you can see you have both your personal profile and your company profile. And you will see as you navigate through Practice Better, this white bar. Often you'll have different options up here. So if you're looking for an action, it's helpful to look in this white bar. So you can see I can just go back and forth here. Okay, so your personal profile, this is your name, title, designation, email, bio, accreditations, and then if you would like to link out to any of your social channels or if you have a blog, you can add that here. Company profile is company name, email address, website, if you have a tagline. And then if you are seeing clients in person, you can set up one or multiple locations so that clients can choose to either see you in person or at which location when they go to book with you. So once you get your profile set up, we're going to head over, you're going to click on Save Changes. And then we're going to head over to your settings. So this little gear icon here, this is where all of your master settings are located. So we're going to come in here. Now we're not going to go over all of these, and you'll find that as you're setting up Practice Better, you're going to come back here from time to time and change some of these settings or fine tune them as you learn the platform. But in the beginning, one of the things that we recommend is to come in here and look at the bookings and cancellations. So this is helpful to do before you start setting up your services, because these are your master services or your master settings for how your clients are going to book with you. So I'm not going to get into all the details of these, but I just want you to know that if you come in here and set these up ahead of time, then when you head over to set up a service, say a discovery call or an initial consultation, the settings from here are going to default into those services so that you don't have to set them up each time. But you can override those in the individual services, which is nice. So if you have services that are just a little bit different, where maybe you want clients to be able to book with you the same day or be able to book out farther in the future, you can set those in the individual services. But just for instance, under here, under your booking restrictions, you want to think about like how much lead time you would like when a client is trying to book with you. Do you want them to be able to book with you the same day? Maybe you have just like a 3-hour lead time, or do you want them to not be able to book with you until 24 hours from the time they're booking, or 2 days? So, as you get busier and busier, you may come in here and change this. A lot of people start out with 12 hours or 1 day. So that'll give you a good 24-hour notice. So if somebody puts in a booking request, you'll have 24 hours until that booking to do whatever pre-work, if you need to review intake forms, review their information before your session with them. So now that I put this setting here, when I go set up my services, that's what it's going to default to. So my 24-hour lead time. And then here, this is how far out in the future do you want your clients to book. So you could leave it blank and let them book as far out, 6 months from now if you would like, or you could limit it to, 21, 28 days. That way people aren't scheduling too far out in the future and then needing to reschedule because their schedule is going to be changing. So these are just some things to look at and consider as you're setting up your services and how you want the booking process to go for both your clients and for yourself. So I would recommend coming in and taking a look at this before you start setting up all of your services. I'm going to click on Save Changes. Another one that's helpful is the portal preferences. So in here, let's see, you can come in, like, this is just how you want your portal to look. So if you want to have your client's first and last name or last name and first name, this is what I prefer. In the documents, like, how do you want the folders to be named? So these are just, again, some things that are helpful in the beginning to kind of go through and learn about and make some decisions on how you want it to be set up. Also down here, there is a Practice Better client portal welcome video that your clients will have access to after they activate their account. So if you want to disable this, you can do that. A lot of practitioners will create their own video, whether it's branded to their practice, but it's very specific to their workflow and their services. And this is something to think about. That's just a nice experience for your clients to have a welcome video with you in it, welcoming them to your practice, letting them know how you want to work with them, and giving an overview of the client portal. And again, if you have your client portal branded with your colors and logo, that looks really nice for the client to see that, so they become more familiar with your brand and your own client portal. So if you do create your own video, you can actually add that here, and they'll get your video instead of the Practice Better client video. So lastly, if you want to brand, so if you're on the Plus plan or the Team plan, you actually can brand your platform with your own colors and logo. If you're on the Pro plan and higher, you can also, so on the Pro plan, you can brand PDFs. So if a client wants to view or print something in the platform, whether it's a form or a note or a protocol, and they PDF it, you can upload your logo and colors for the PDFs. So that's in the Pro plan. The Plus plan, you can also do this, but you can also brand your platform. So we can just take a look at what the branded platform. So if I change the colors, you'll see the logo. And the logo is kind of your home screen. So if I come over here and go out of the home screen, anytime you want to go back to your main home screen, you can just click on the logo and it'll take you back home. So this is really nice. I just wanted to show you an example of what it would look like as if you had branded it. So if you're on the Plus plan, you're going to come in here and brand your platform. You're also going to set your personalized URL. So this is the URL that you're going to give to your clients. So it would be your name or company name .practicebetter.io. And that's where they're going to go to log in to see the branded platform. Okay, if they just go to my.practicebetter.io, they're not going to see the branded platform. They will still be in the platform. But if you want them to see your colors and logo, you want them to go to your personalized URL. So that is what the URL is. We're going to hit save. And then let's head back to the homepage. Okay, so now that we looked at some of your basic settings and preferences, one of the first things that you want to do is set up a service. So services are what you offer to your clients and how you're going to work with them. So they can be set up for individuals. You can have group services, depending on what you want to offer to your clients. So to get to services, we're going to click on My Practice, and then we're going to go to My Services. Okay, so this is where we're going to set up. You can see that I do already have some services set up. I have a couple of group services. I have several individual services. Now you are going to notice as I navigate through the platform that there is a red button. We call this the red fast action button. So when you click on that, you're going to get different actions, and these will change on, as you navigate through the platform on different pages, you're going to have different actions. So if you're ever on a page and you're looking for an action, you can click on this button and you'll get additional options here. And then sometimes you'll see other options in this white bar up here. So, so let's click on the red button. We're going to add a service. So for now, I just want to add a one-on-one service. So let's go ahead and do an initial consultation. Okay. Now here, these are the different colors that correspond to the color, how it's going to show up on your Practice Better calendar. So it's nice to have different colors for the different services. So as you get busier, when you look at your calendar, you'll see all the different services in their own color. So here's where you can put a description of that service down here. And then the duration, this is how long this service is. This doesn't include the buffer time. So I'll show you that below, but let's say the initial consultation was 90 minutes. And then you're going to want, say, a 30-minute buffer. Just keep the 90 minutes, so the duration of the service, and then you can add the buffer time down below. So a buffer time is just a time that it'll block off for other people to book. So if you want to finish typing up your notes, and prepare for your next client, you can add buffer times in. So here you have your payment options. So you can do a fixed fee or ongoing payments. Typically for a service, you're just going to, generally do a fixed fee, but for a higher priced, say a signature program or package, you may, if it's a $3,000 package, you may want to offer, ongoing payments, or if you're doing a membership, you could do that. But for this particular service, we're just going to do a fixed fee. Let's put $300. And then down here, this is if you want to, if it was a zero, like if you offer a free discovery call and it's a zero charge, you could just hide the fee if you don't want to show, $0. You can display the fee. Now here, I can suggest that the clients pay when they're booking this. This gives them the option to book it with or without paying. So they have the option to pay, or they can book it and pay later. If you want your clients to pay up front, then you can require them to pay at booking. So they will, select their day and time, and then they're going to put their credit card information in, and they're actually going to pay at the time that they book the initial consultation with you. And then typically these would be the same, but it just depends on your practice. So this is once they are a client and they've activated their Practice Better portal account, if they go to book the service with you in the portal, then these settings can be different. But this is in the portal and this is outside of the portal. So if you sent somebody a link or they went to your website and linked over to the service, this is what the setting pertains to. Okay, so service availability, this is in person. So how do you want to meet with your clients? How do you want to offer, do you want them to be able to select in person, by phone, online video chat? So even if you have all three of these selected here, you can get a little bit more granular. You'll see when we go to set up your availability that if you only wanted to see people in person, say on Monday or Tuesday, you know, a specific day, you can set that in your availability. And then the other days you would not offer that. But even if it's only for a short period of time or one day, it has to be checked here in order to see it in your availability. If I uncheck this, then the only two options I'll have when I set up my availability will be these two options. So, you know, so you want to determine how you want to work with your clients. And then here's where you can add that buffer time that I mentioned before. So if I click here, I can either offer it before or after. Personally, I like the after. If you do before and after, that's going to really block off a lot of time. But it's totally up to you. But just know that if you have somebody books a session before this session, you know, that session will block off 30 minutes, and then somebody will book this one and you'll have 30 minutes after this one. So if you did 30 before and after, that's going to be a whole hour. So it's just something to think about, and you know how much time that you need before and after your sessions with clients. Now, if you recall, we were just in the booking settings, and I set a 1-day advance notice, 24 hours, you know, so it's defaulting to that. But for an initial consultation, maybe you need a little bit more time, advance notice, because there's going to be a lot of paperwork. You know, maybe you have various intake forms, assessments, waivers. So this particular service, you may need like 3 days or 4 days, because you want to give the client time to fill out their paperwork. So if they were trying to book with you today, they wouldn't be able to book. If I set this to 4 days, they're not going to be able to book this initial consultation for until 4 days from now. So even if they want to meet with you sooner, you know, they may not realize that there are going to be forms and things for them to fill out. So I'm going to actually change this to 4 days to give me more lead time and the client. And I'm just going to leave this to the default. They can book out 28 days into the future for this one. The increments of time, I had left the default at 15 minutes, but because this is a 90-minute service, I'm going to give people kind of like every hour. So when they click on the day to book with me, the times are going to show up like 9, 10, 11. So that's what I want for this service. So I'm just going to override that. And then I have connected, and we're going to look at this in a bit, but I connected my Zoom account to Practice Better. So now I have the option to default to Zoom or the Practice Better telehealth. So for the one-on-one sessions, I'm going to use Practice Better for telehealth. I'm only going to use Zoom for my group sessions because with Zoom you can have more than 2 people on, but Practice Better Telehealth is meant to do one-on-one consultations, and it is HIPAA compliant and it's really nice. So that's what I'm going to use for this service. So down here, booking restrictions. So allow my clients to request the session for the service. This means that if I give somebody a link to my booking page, my public booking page, this service is going to show up on there. If I click here, it's going to be a private service, and only I can book that for clients unless I send them the link specifically to the service, but it's not going to show up on my public booking page. So I'm just going to leave this as public for now. Here are your email notifications. So if you're on the Plus plan or higher, you're able to come in here and edit these templates. So clients will get emails when they book the service. They're going to get an email to remind them of the upcoming service. And the nice thing is you can come in here and personalize those if you would like, if you're on the Plus plan or higher. Okay, so now this is our initial consultation. We just set up the service. You will, in the next webinar, we'll get into some more of the advanced options like payment plans and booking page forms. But for now, I just wanted to show you how to set up your first service. So let's click save. And then click done. And now you'll see that we have our initial consultation here, 90 minutes, $300. It's all set up. So once you get the services set up that you want to get set up initially, then you have to set up your availability to allow clients to book with you. Real quick, some people get confused between services and packages. So we're going to get into packages in the next webinar, but just know that a service is something that a client will book with you, an appointment or a booking. A package can include services. So if you want to bundle services together into a package, like one initial consultation and 6 follow-ups, something like that, it doesn't necessarily have to include services. It could be, if you're selling a bundle of like an ebook or a supplement kit or something like that, but you can bundle the services in there. But just think of services as what clients book with you, like an appointment to meet with you. Okay, so then we're going to come over here and we're going to go to my availability. And it's super easy to set this up. You can see that I already have a couple set up here. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 5, I am, so yeah, something to keep in mind when you add a new service, you are going to want to come to your availability and turn that on because it will default to off. So anytime you add new services, just come over and check your availability and make sure that it's turned on. So I'm just going to show you how to set it up. So you can either click on the red button and say add one-on-one or group service. What I like to do is just kind of click and drag. So if I want to add availability on Wednesdays from, let's say, 10 to 4, I just click and drag 10 to 4. And then when I let go, I can pick on the 1-to-1. Okay, so now if you wanted to adjust the times, you could. I'm going to leave it 10 to 4. And I want this to recur I want it to start on August 3rd, and I want it to recur every week on Wednesday. So I just click that, say repeat weekly every week on Wednesday. Then I'm going to enable all of these services. Now, if there's certain services you don't want to offer, you could turn that off, or you can just leave them on. But then you can come in here and this is where you can get granular with how you want to meet with people. So maybe on Wednesdays, I don't want to offer in person for my initial, maybe I'm only in the office on Mondays. So on Mondays, I have this checked, but on Wednesdays, I'm going to uncheck it because I'm not in the office. And then on Mondays, if I had it turned on to in person, I could select which location. So actually, if I say I am in person on Wednesday and I'm only at location B, because Mondays I'm at location A. So when they go to book on Wednesdays, the only option they're going to see is location B. So it's really nice to be able to set up that granularity of how you want to offer your services and what location you're going to be seeing clients. So once you get these set and you want to, look at these for each service and make sure that it's set up how you want, then you just click save. And then you'll see that I'm set up every Wednesday from 10 to 4. And I could do the same thing on Monday. You could set up, like if you wanted to say, 10 to 1. And then if you were, going to take a break, and let's say you come back from 4 to 6. So you can set up multiple time increments for, a single day. Or you can just, set up one time increment, and then you can block off time on your calendar. Or you can connect your Google Calendar and any appointments or, personal things that you have on your calendar that are marked as busy are going to block that time off on your Practice Better calendar. But if it's just standard that you work from 10 to 1 and 4 to 6, you can just set up your availability increments like that. But that's pretty much how easy it is to set up your availability. All right, so let's take a look at what it looks like for a client. Now that we set up the availability, let's see what it would look like as the client is booking that. So we're going to go over to My Practice, and then we're going to go to My Services. And let's say on your website, you have a button that says, book a call or book with me, where somebody can have a free 30-minute discovery call with you. So in order to do that, you're going to come into share link, and then this would be the link that you would embed behind the button on your website, or maybe you send this out in an email, but that's the link that you're going to give people. You can copy that. Actually, if I come here and I go to share link, I can click on visit page just to test it out. So you'll notice in the platform that a lot of things that you set up, you can test out just to see how it's going to work. So when I click on visit page, this is exactly what people are going to see when they click on that link to book a discovery call with me. So since I didn't check in person in my settings, the only options they have are by phone or online video chat to book. So let's say they click on online video chat. Now here you see that these shaded circles, so these are the days that I said I was going to be available to do discovery calls. So if they want to meet with me on August 9th, they click on that. And then they say select time, and then they'll get the time increments based on, again, how I set it up in my discovery call and if I have availability. So I can click on 11:15, click next, and then here's where they're going to just put in their name, email, phone number. And there are some settings, if you don't want the phone number to be mandatory. Right now, these 4 are mandatory. You can turn that off, and then you can also remove these questions. And those would be in the settings. So they're just going to put in their name and then click next, and then I'm going to you can actually see here, if I go back to the home page, that under booking request, I have a client who sent in a booking request. So I would want to go look at that and say, okay, August 9th at 11:45, I can either confirm it or I can decline it with a note to the client. Now, the nice thing with Practice Better is we have automations, which I'll get into a little bit later, but with automations, I could set this up as an automation so it automatically confirms any requests, so I don't have to go through this process. But, maybe in the beginning, you are more comfortable reviewing these requests and confirming them. So I'm just going to hit confirm. And now Addie, my client, is going to get an email saying that that session is confirmed. So that's what it would look like from the client view when they go in to book a session with you. Okay, so let's head over. I just want to show you real quick under the settings. Actually sorry. If we go to settings and then we go to share my link, I just want to show you where your public booking page link is. So that's right here. So this is any service, package, or program that I had marked as is marked as public is going to show up on this page. So if I highlight that and then I put it here, you'll see that any service or package that I have marked as public is going to show up there. So we will get into how to create custom pages in our next webinar. So if you want to create a page that has specific services or packages or programs in a certain order, you can create one or multiple custom booking pages. But in the beginning, you'll just have one link that will have all of your services on it that are marked as public. So I just wanted you to know where that was and know that you can set up custom booking pages. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about what you can integrate, other tools that you can integrate with Practice Better. So if I come up here, click Settings, and go to Third-Party Integrations, so you don't have to set all of these up in the beginning. Just a few that you want to consider in the beginning would be your Google Calendar. So if you use Google Calendar for your personal calendar, you can connect it to Practice Better, just so that any kind of personal appointments that you have where you are busy and you're not going to want to see clients, those appointments will automatically block time off, and your clients aren't going to see what's on your calendar. It's just going to block the time off so they won't see any availability during that time. So this is a really helpful thing to connect Practice Better. And then you can connect Zoom if you are running, group programs, or you want to use Zoom. You can connect that. You can always still use the Practice Better telehealth, but this just gives you a second option if you want to use Zoom, especially for group programs is great. Like if you're doing a cooking class or group yoga, and you're going to have multiple people dialing in over video. So when you set up a session, it's automatically going to give your clients the Zoom link. So you don't have to go over to Zoom and set it up over there and then email out the link. It just all happens automatically. And then you're going to if you want to do the payment processing through Practice Better, you're going to want to connect either Stripe or Square. So if you already have an account set up with one or the other, you would just link it. You don't need both. You just need one or the other. Practice Better does not charge any fees on top of, there's no additional fees. It's just whatever Stripe and Square charge for the payment processing. But you're just connecting it to Practice Better so that your clients can pay for their bookings, they can pay invoices, they can have payment plans. These will just be kind of behind the scenes, but your clients will be interacting with Practice Better instead of directly with Stripe or Square. If you're working with supplements and you have an account with FullScript or Wellevate, you can connect those to Practice Better, and later you'll see in protocols or in the next webinar how you can easily add supplements from FullScript or Wellevate into your protocol. And then it's going to save you so much time because you're not going to need to go over to FullScript and create the recommendations over there as well. So that's really nice. And then we have some other more advanced integrations that we'll go over at another time with Rupa Health for labs, NutriQ, Zapier, and then Facebook and Google Analytics. But all of the integrations are just all on this one page. So that's where you would come over. But I would recommend considering the Google Calendar and Stripe and Square kind of in the beginning as you're getting set up. All right, so let's go back to the home page. Okay, so let's talk about forms. In the beginning, you probably have intake forms for your clients to fill out, and Practice Better allows you to create these forms as online forms instead of sending PDFs and Word documents to your clients. So if we go over here to my practice, we go to forms and waivers. You'll see this is the list of forms that I already have set up, but if I click on the red button, I want to create a new form. And for this first example, I'm just going to show you how to take a template that's already developed or already built in Practice Better and use that as sort of a starting point, and then you can edit it from there. So if I click on the red button, I say create form. I'm sorry. I'm going to click on the red button. I'm going to say create form from template. So I'm not going to create it from scratch. I'm actually going to take one of these templates that are already available for you. So I'm going to select the Practice Better intake questionnaire. Okay, so now it downloaded the form, and now I'm actually in the form editor. So I can come in here and I can just change any of this information. I can either, like, if I come here and I want to make a change to the title or the headers or anything like that, I can just click on that pencil and make a change. I can duplicate it. I can delete it. So if I wanted to actually get rid of this section, I could come over here and I could delete that, delete that. So really what you're doing is just starting with a template. You can see down here, this is 2 pages. So after I get to the bottom, there's going to be a second page. But I can make any changes to this form as I would like. And if I want to add a question, so if I want to, these are the different question types. So check boxes, yes, no, short, long responses. If I want to add, let's say, a yes, no question, I can just click it and drag it to where I want to add it. And then I could say, do you smoke? And then the labels could be yes, no, and then you could have a follow-up, like if they said yes, I could ask them, if yes, how many packs per day, as a follow-up question. So building forms it's really nice. It's just super convenient for your clients because they're not getting this attachment that they have to download, fill out, reattach, send it back. They're actually, I'll show you. So if we go out here, you'll see that now I have the intake questionnaire. This is what it would look like if I go to preview. This is what it would look like to the client. So they'll just get an email telling them that they have a form to complete, and they will come over here and they'll just type in the boxes. They can check the boxes. They can check these. So there's no emailing back and forth. It's all just online. And then when they're done, they'll hit submit, and then you will be notified that you have a completed form to review from your client. You can also create waivers, which are very similar to the form, except they have a signature, the option to have a signature at the bottom of the form. In our next webinar, we will get into more detail on how to, build the forms if you're going to be building them from scratch, and some of the other things that you can do with forms. So after you get a few forms into your account, then you want to come over and set up your note template. So when you have sessions with your clients, you're going to want to have a place to take notes. So you'll see that I already have a list of some note templates that I've built. If you're just starting out, you can click on the button and say create from template. And similar to forms, you will have templates, a few templates that you can choose from. So If you wanted to take a look at what the initial consultation session notes look like, you can come in here. And again, you can modify this any way you would like. You'll notice that there are different sections. And the reason these are broken out is because you will have the option when you create session notes for a client, you're going to have the option to share different sections. You can share the whole note with them, but maybe you only like to share the plan with your clients. And so this particular template is just broken out into different sections so that you have the option to share the sections that you want to share. So let me save this. So now we have our initial consultation session notes. If you want to create this for a client, like if you're getting ready for a session, you can say create for client, a meeting with Mary. So now when I clicked on Mary's name, this note is ready to go. It's ready for me to start taking notes during my session. And it's the date's going to default here. I'm going to want to share parts of the note with her. So I'm going to click this button here. And the only part of the note that I want to share is the plan. So I'm going to click on this little eye icon. And then you have other options. So if you want to attach any documents, so if you have any handouts or guides or supporting documentation that go with what you discussed during your session, you can attach that here and the client will receive that. You can attach any protocols that you've set up that we're going to look at that in our next webinar. Any lab reports, or you can also create tasks for your clients, which are really nice because it'll give them a reminder, and they'll get an email reminder and they'll get another email when it's due. So it kind of helps to keep them accountable. So once you've had your session, you'll also see that some information based on the placeholders that I had, some of the information from Mary's file is just going to default into the note. So again, this is a time savings that you don't have to retype the information. If it is in her file and you want to pull it into the note, you can put in a placeholder into the template and it'll pull, name, date of birth, current conditions, current issues, her weight. So once you're finished with your note, we're going to click save. You can either click save and exit or sign and save. So if you click sign and save, it's going to lock that note, so you won't be able to come back and make any changes or add to it. But if I just click save and exit, now I'm going to say save and share because I do want to share this with my client, at least the plan section. So now when I'm in the client file and I go to notes, you can see that note. So on my side, if I click on it, I'll be able to see the entire note. But on the client side, when they click on the note from August 4th, they're not going to see my assessment or all my notes. They're only going to see the plan that we came up with during our session. So those are the session notes. Okay, so now that you've got those set up, something that we highly, highly recommend is setting up a test client. So having yourself as a test client is really helpful because that way you can practice in the client portal to know what that portal experience is, and also see all of the emails and notifications that your clients are going to receive from you. So in order to do that, you can just click on My Clients. You can say Add Client. And then you can, you're going to want to use a secondary email address. So you don't want to use the same email that you're using for your practitioner account. This could be just a personal email address, just a secondary email address. And then, you can use your own name, or you can use a fake name. But again, this is just going to be your test client so that you can test it out for yourself. So once you get yourself set up, if you want to send some of the forms to yourself so that you can see what those look like, the whole point is that you practice from time to time. Like every time Practice Better comes out with new features, it's helpful to test those out with yourself so that if your clients come to you with questions, you'll understand what they're seeing, the information that they're getting. So in the beginning, it's highly recommended to have a test client in here and to practice as much as you can. I mean, you can put in other, like a friend or a partner, spouse, too. That's always helpful, but in that case, you may not see all of the information that they're getting. So I would say in addition to practicing with one of your friends, I would highly recommend practicing with, as your own test client, so that you can just keep testing out all the new features that are coming out. All right, so let's head over to one of our clients. Let's go to Addie Jones. So when I click on Addie, now this is considered Addie's file. So you'll see her name up here, some basic information, any tags that I had given her, which we will be going over in our next webinar. You'll see here bookings and packages, billing and payments. All of this information is related to Addie because we're in her file. So you can go in and look at any notes, that you took for Addie, any protocols. Right now, Addie doesn't have any protocols, forms and waivers. So this is really how you navigate through the client's file. If you want to look at what the client, like their recent activity, you would just come to, again, we go to My Clients, and then we're going to go to the client's name, and then you can see on their dashboard recent activity. So this is going to tell you everything that the client has done in the portal and anything that you've done related to that client. And you can filter. So if you only want to look at bookings, if you want to look at invoices, but if you just want to see everything by any date, you can just leave this as it is. And then you can see what sessions were booked for Addie. I can see that I created a note for Addie. I added a tag, a session. So anything that's an email, you'll see if the email was delivered. Now, it's not telling you whether she read the email, but it can tell you if it was delivered or if there was a problem with delivery. That way, you know that you may need to resend it or that they just didn't receive the email. But luckily, all of these emails were delivered. So in our next webinar, we're going to be talking more about the dashboard, but for now, I just wanted to point out this widget right here is called Recent Activity. And this is where you can see anything that how your client interacted with the portal, actions that they're taking, invoices that they've paid, and anything that you have done that's related to this client. All right, so actually, since we're here, let's go ahead and create and send an invoice. So if I'm in Addie's file, I'm going to click on billing and payments. And then again, the red fast action button, I'm going to come over here and say create invoice. Because I'm on the team plan, this is me, this is my colleague. So this invoice is going to be for me. So it's going to default my information. I have the client's name here, invoice number, date. If you start typing, so if I say, follow up, it's going to pull up anything. So this is actually a service. So if you have a service package or program that this is what I'm going to add to the invoice, you can just start typing the name of that service. So I'm going to create this invoice for a follow-up consultation, just for one, and then the amount is going to default here, but I could go ahead and change that. I could, I could give her a discount. She could be a new client and I want to give her 10% off. So you can just set this invoice how you would like it. If you want to have your signature on the bottom, once you're finished, you can, so click done. Once you're finished, you have several options. I can either just save this invoice if I'm not ready to send it to Addie. I can send it, so then Addie's going to have a notification that she has a new invoice for her to pay. If Addie was with me in the office or I was on the phone with her and she had her credit card ready to go, I could actually process this invoice myself. And I could also record a payment. So if Addie was going to pay cash or pay by check or PayPal, anything other than through Stripe or Square, I could just record the payment. So I wouldn't actually be processing it in Practice Better, but I would just be recording how that invoice was paid. So for now, I am going to just send this invoice to Addie. Okay, so you can see here, this is the invoice, and then I can always, again, if she called and wanted to pay over the phone, I could process it. If I click on the three dots, I can view it. I can send a reminder. I can edit the invoice. I could duplicate or delete it. So whenever you see the three dots, this is also a place where you'll find other actions that you can take. All right, so in the remaining few minutes that we have, I just want to point out one of the awesome features of Practice Better are setting up automations. So automations, over time, as you're using the platform more and more, you will start to set up, more and more automations. You're going to have a list here of the automations that you already have set up. And the nice thing is you can come in here at any time and edit those automations. You can disable them or delete them. To set up a new automation, you're going to click on the red button, and then this is the list of the various automations that you can set up. And I'm going to show you two of these today, and then in part 2 webinar, I will show you a few more. But for today, I just want to show you how you can have certain services confirmed if you do not want to go through the review process. So the default is a client will send it, they'll book an appointment with you, you'll get that request, and then you would review it and either accept it or decline it. And maybe you want to do that in the beginning until you're comfortable with the booking process, but eventually you may want to have these sessions automatically confirmed. So this particular automation, so this is just an internal name so that you know which automations are which. So this is just for initial consultations. I want to confirm these automatically. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pick which service. So this is for initial consultation. So I'm going to select that one. And then I want to just, when somebody books that service with me, it'll automatically confirm it. So I won't need to go through that review process. And then I also, if they reschedule, I also want to auto confirm that. You could uncheck it and then maybe that first booking is confirmed automatically, but if they reschedule, you would like to review that and not have that as part of the automation. And then down here, I also want to automatically give these clients access to Practice Better, to the portal. So I'm going to check this box and they'll receive an email asking them to activate their account on Practice Better. And that'll save me time for not having to email or send a manual invitation to Practice Better. Here you have the option to give your clients access to the food and mood journal or the lifestyle journal. Often in the beginning, practitioners will leave these unchecked because they want clients to kind of get used to the platform and not have too many different features to focus on. So just know that if you decide to not give your clients access in the beginning, you can always give them access at any time. Similarly, if you do give them access in the beginning, you can always turn that off at a later time. So I'm going to uncheck these for now and give clients access later at a later time. And then mark sessions confirmed on behalf of clients. So if I have this checked, the client is not going to get a notification asking them to confirm their initial consultations. I am going to uncheck that because this is a 90-minute session and I really want to make sure that my clients confirm that they're going to show up. Because if they don't, then that's 90 minutes that's just open. So I'm going to uncheck that, and now they're going to get a notification asking them to confirm, and I'll get alerted that they have confirmed their session. And then if you have any other notes here that you want them to get after they book the session with you and it's auto confirmed, they will have a note if there's something, hey, I look forward to working with you. Please take, the next few days to complete your paperwork. Whatever you want to say here, this is optional. And then you can also automatically add tags. Again, we'll go over that in our next webinar, but tags are really nice. So if you did have a tag for just initial consultation, or if it's a specific, maybe they're a gut health client and you had a tag called gut health, it could auto add the tag. So I'm going to save this. And now I have this automation set up, confirm initial consultations. Lastly, just to show you a second automation, I set up send forms after a booking is confirmed. This is a very popular automation because when clients book services with you, you don't want to have to keep track of, okay, anyone who signed up for my initial consultation, I need to send all these different forms, and then you would have to manually send those forms. So Practice Better makes it really easy because it's going to send them automatically. So this automation is send intake questionnaire after initial consultation has been booked. You want to make sure you click on the service that you want. It could be all of the services, but typically each service is going to have different intake paperwork or assessments or things. So for the initial consultation, I'm going to click that. I want to send them immediately when they book that service. You could schedule it, but I'm just going to send them immediately. And then which forms would you like to send? So I definitely want to send my intake questionnaire, but maybe you have a few other forms like your HIPAA notice, risk and release of liability, and also the 3-day food journal. And again, you can add additional notes if you have any specific instructions on how you would like your clients to complete these forms. And this is more for like follow-ups. So if you have a form that you send to clients, say you schedule it to be sent automatically like 3 days before their follow-up, so they can just sort of update you on how they're doing, what they want to focus on during that session, what barriers they've overcome since the last session, that type of thing. That form is going to be completed multiple times, so you'd want to check that box. But these forms that we're sending now are just one-time forms. So this way, if I don't check it, Practice Better will know that they've already completed the form, and it's not going to send it, any other time once it's completed. So now that everything's set up, I'm going to click Save Changes. And now anytime a client books an initial consultation, they're going to get those forms automatically. They'll get an email. They'll be in their portal saying, hey, you've got these forms to complete. And then when they do complete those forms, I will have a notification up here that they've completed the forms, and then I can go in and review those before that initial consultation. All right, so we went over a lot of things today. Most of what we went over today, as I mentioned earlier, is pretty foundational to getting Practice Better set up. In part 2, we're going to get into just a little bit more advanced features, and some of the features we went over today, we're just going to dive a little bit deeper. But for today, we did review how to set up your profile. We went over some of your basic settings, like your booking, your portal preferences, your branding. We went over how to set up a service and how to set your availability. We looked at booking, your public booking page link. We looked at how, where you would go to integrate, say, your Google Calendar or Zoom. We looked at how to download a form from a template and customize it, and also how to set up a note template for your session notes. We talked about setting up a test client so you can test out the platform and really understand your client's experience. And we also looked at your client file and how to navigate that. And then we sent your first invoice. And then we also set up 2 automations. So those are all the things that we went over today in part 1. So this concludes our part 1 webinar today. And I hope this was helpful in sharing how you can easily get started on Practice Better. We look forward to seeing you in part 2 of getting started working with clients. So thank you again so much for joining, and we will see you soon.